Hello, everybody. This is Kirusho here. Now then, when we last left off, Deku had just ran into All Might, and the Sludge Villain attack went very differently. Now, Deku went home and he was actually studying up on a lot of different things for UA. But as he's doing so, he hears a knock on his door. As soon as he does, he opens the door, and he finds that there are a group of men. He's asking them what do they want, and they would just ask if Deku's mom is around. He says that no, they're not, and the man would go on saying that that's a shame. They were hoping that she can sign something for them. As Deku would go on asking exactly what it is, they would hold out a form showing that it's a paper organizing something against conduits. Deku would see it, and he actually sees how many signatures there are. But he sees that, from looking through the list, there's no names he recognizes. Which he finds happy, thinking at least Mitsuki isn't trying to get me. As he would ask what do they mean by conduits. The men would go on saying that they are essentially trying to create a police force to deal with them. Those people are out of control and they are crazy. They just keep setting off bombs whenever they feel like it. Deku would just say, "You mean race fears?" What? How do you know what they're using, kid? Well, because I've actually met All Might before. In fact, he calls me in to help. You're joking. Why would he call you in to help? Well, because as Deku holds out his hand, he immediately courses it with Neon, saying that he's a conduit. In fact, as the men immediately get shocked and start running away, Deku would just lean against the wall and he immediately just smoke dashes through the corridor, appearing right in front of them, saying that, that's not going to work. As he quickly switches off to his glass ability, appearing straight behind them once again, surrounding them, saying that, not all conduits are evil. In fact, I just have one question. Exactly how do you think a conduit is born? Well, they set off that explosion killing people, right? Yes, but no. How about I tell you something? Any one of you could be potential conduits. Well, what do you mean? Well, allow me to educate you dumbasses. A conduit, that's the name we give to the person who has a gene. Basically, a latent ability. The two are like quirks. Well, they kind of are like quirks, but they're also not. They can't be cancelled out by that pro hero, they can't be stopped, and they are far stronger as a child. They're stronger than any quirk you could ever think of. Now, another thing. The person setting off that explosion, they aren't the only person who awakens from them. In fact, multiple people wake in from those things. That's the reason why conduits exist. Most of us are innocent. In fact, only 1% of the conduits out there. And I know about... I stopped that one guy. I was pretty sure I stopped him in real life. I helped All Might, and I saved that shopkeeper. Wait, you actually saved somebody? Yes. Now, as the illusion immediately crumbles into a little pile of glass, Deku walks by them, cleaning it up, saying that just because a conduit does something doesn't mean all conduits are bad. So, as he hands back over the paper, saying that they need to chill, as he walks back into his apartment. The men are kind of confused and left stunned. Which is when one of them will just grab the paper and immediately just walk away. Now then, Deku begins training and doing everything that he can for the next 10 months. He is somewhat on his way to mastering air, but he's now trying a lot harder. As he finds out that he can use his ability kind of similarly to smoke, but it's a bit harder. So he tries coming up with the idea. He spends the next 10 months before the entrance exam not only studying, but also trying to master mixing his conduits. Now, when I say mixing conduits, I'm not saying like, oh, he's going to be able to immediately just mix smoke, neon, boulder, and air all together in some super attack. He's not going to be able to do that. That's going to be way too challenging. But at the very least, he'd be able to at least control one in each hand, like Todoroki's half and half quirk. But this would be a lot of strain on the body. Because it's basically two forces trying to take over each side. Like, holding in an explosion. Anyways. Besides, Deku would just start off by trying to use his smoke and his air abilities together. Basically like trying to actually work with them properly. Now, while he's doing this, he's actually been able to master using the air ability to actually help lift heavy objects. But whenever he starts adding smoke to it, he finds that the object usually just gets singed or catches on fire, which is very annoying. So he just somewhat gives up after that, after a couple months. But this is whenever he would go to the facility one day and he would see Bakugo. Bakugo is actually pushing himself and he's actually really training. As Deku sees this, he wants to go walk over and spot Bakugo. If not, at least make sure he doesn't hurt himself. All Might would stop him saying that, listen, young Midoriya, I've been trying to talk to you about this for quite a while, but I feel like it's now finally time that I tell you. What, you're dating my mom? What? No, why would you think that? You guys spend a lot of time together. No, it's nothing like that. I probably just made someone cringe. Anyways, that aside, nowhere, nothing like that. I need to tell you about my quirk. Oh yeah, that's right. People don't know your quirk, do they? No, but doesn't your quirk work like a transformation quirk? Well, not really. Now, well, I mean, yes, it does now, but that's beside the point. My quirk is named One for All. One for All? Really? Yes. Let me explain. As All Might gives the entire explanation without leaving out any detail and telling Deku that he needs a successor. And he was hoping Deku can take on the quirk. Deku would just say no, he'll be fine without it. But he's really happy at the offer, but this is not going to be something he would like. In fact, why don't you just give it to Bakugo? Well, you see, I've been thinking about that, but I'm not sure how it would work with him. Because his prosthetic arm, well, kinda, but not with just that. The boy's been training quite a lot, and One for All's gotten to the point where if you haven't properly trained enough, you might die just taking on the quirk. All Might, you've been training us for years. I think you'll be fine. Oh, okay. As All Might walks into the room, he would actually explain and talk with Bakugo, saying that Deku just said that he should have the quirk, since he has no use for it. Making him a hybrid would not be a good idea. Bakugo would just think that that's okay, as he would take on the quirk and get One for All, as these two continue working out. Now, afterwards, let's say as a gift, the facility, they actually did create a bionic prototype. this prototype is a more advanced robotic arm. It can actually bend at the elbow and actually rotate the wrist. But drawback being is it is still quite powerful. But it was also made with Bakugo specifically in mind. They've kind of been working and testing different prototypes with him for years in order to try not only help him, but since they also did have him at the facility, him being in the chair for quite a while, did give them a chance to actually properly measure and scan a lot of different things to help fix him. Let's just say. Now then, after this, Deku, him, Kendo, Toru, Kirishima, and Todoroki, they would all be training together as Deku actually asked Todoroki if they can actually fight. Todoroki would say, sure, but just please don't copy my ability. Dude, I'm not sure why you don't want me to copy you. Let's just... I never really liked my dad's quirk. It's kind of weird, and he always thought of me as if I had both quirks, I would be perfect. I'd be the best thing to take on All Might. Then, the day the bombs fell, things changed. War never changes before anyone says that in the comments. As Todoroki go on explaining even further that awakening the ability to use ice, his father was ecstatic about it, but he realized exactly how bad the situation really was. He did not like that I was a conduit, but he accepted it, and he was at least happy that he achieved his goal, albeit not the way he wanted. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, so you see why I'm hesitant to let you try it. Yeah. Alright then. As Deku would at least say that they're gonna fight, and he's gonna at least train and learn more about his electricity. As over the next 10 months, everyone trains even more intensely, and Bakugo gets this new arm along with One for All. So, one hell of an upgrade. Now then, the entrance exam. Everyone would arrive and they'd actually all be sitting next to each other. As they are talking, well, actually, as they're walking in, this is whenever Deku, he would somewhat trip, or no, let's say Bakugo trips, as he's still trying to mess with the arm. He trips, and this is whenever Uraka would actually help him up by making him float. But the odd thing is, she's not near him, as she essentially makes him float and puts him back on his feet, saying that she's sorry she kind of had to use her quirk. Bakugo would just say, okay, but what is that? And she points down to it. He would just say it's his arm. Well, that's fake, right? Or is it part of your quirk? It's a prosthetic, actually. Oh, I'm so sorry. As Uraka somewhat runs away, kind of embarrassed that she may have just made Bakugo a bit uncomfortable. Bakugo would just say, at least this thing is made to at least be pushed and actually tested, as he brings it up, rotating it and actually showing that he can move the fingers, along with blasting an explosion through the palm of it, impressing everybody that is standing next to him. As they walk in, people would watch as all these kids are actually sitting next to each other, and they're somewhat still talking with one another. As Deku is actually writing down something, whenever he goes to write down his quirk, the guy behind him actually sees as Deku crosses out quirk and writes down conduit. As the guy immediately stands up, telling President Mike that there's a conduit right in front of him. President Mike would just say that that is no excuse to be interrupting him. Sit back down and just do not worry. Conduits are still people and they should not be discriminated against. So, either sit back down or leave. As the boy just sits back down. Now then. Deku, he looks behind him and the guy sees this. As he sees Deku's eyes sparkle with electricity. Now, as that happened, they would watch as Deku, I want to say he at least does, Bakugo does better than him, because I know Bakugo got third, but everyone else would score pretty fine. But Todoroki would have taken the recommendation. Now, he's not as edgy as Kane and Todoroki, but he's still a bit edgy at the fact that his dad did get his goal met with the bombs. So, well, the race spheres. But he's content now. Anyways, Deku, he would do very well, and this is whenever they would go over the combat portion. Deku, he is actually just thinking that, oh, combat. Okay then. As he immediately just turns to smoke. People would watch as Deku's actually changing his ability, and he would immediately just walk over to Bakugo, as before he changed, Ida would interrupt him, saying that he cannot simply just let him pass, and he will not ruin that man's chance. Can't you see he's already been through enough? Oh. You're annoying, and you're rude. Well, I'll tell you one thing. That guy's my friend, and I am going to talk to him before this all starts. As Deku just pushes Ida out of the way, Ida just looks at him thinking that was not nice. As Deku walks over to Bakugo, he brings his fist up as Bakugo bumps his fist. Ida is immediately embarrassed, realizing that Deku actually does know Bakugo. Now then, Bakugo would throw an explosion in his palm as Deku absorbs the smoke and uses his ability. As he's fighting through and actually taking out quite a bit of robots, people are watching as he would be switching from smoke to air to boulder to neon, and this is quite confusing people. As Deku's running around at 150 miles an hour, shooting and breaking through robots, Ida, he actually sees Deku, and he's confused. Who is that? Ida's not paying attention to the robot behind him, as he's still standing there, somewhat muttering to himself. Deku immediately stops, turns to Ida, and immediately points his hand, saying, "Get down." As soon as Deku did so, he fired a neon missile. While that happened, Deku immediately Ida turned around as he sees the robot behind him is now cut into two pieces. Deku immediately just says, "Pay attention next time," as he goes off. Kirishima, meanwhile, is in the same one. He's in the same area, but this is whenever, let's say, Ida sees him, and he's even more confused. Wait, that guy's copying... Wait. They said they were conduits. So that guy's copying conduits? That doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, actually, it kind of does now that I think about quirks. As Ida got distracted again, but he immediately kicks the robot behind him, breaking it into half. Now then, after this, you just have Deku, Kirishima, and Bakugo actually all fighting their way in this arena, as this is whenever the zero pointer arrives. Now then, while that's happening, this is whenever Deku, he immediately sees it and he's thinking that he should do that. He's thinking about that orbital strike move from the simulation. If he can actually pull that off, that'd be amazing. Ooh, no, wait, what about that one boulder move? Oh, no. What about the air move? No, wait, I got it. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna at least try using smoke to its max potential. As he's thinking this, he immediately just sees a girl there, standing as the robot's foot is about to come down on top of her, and as soon as it's coming down, Deku immediately just starts turning himself into smoke, dashing forward. As he does so, the foot immediately just stops as Deku sees the girl actually holding her hands up. She is fighting back against the robot, and Deku can see the physical strain it's putting on her. As he runs over, seeing her, he would immediately just grab her and run in the opposite direction. As he does so, he would set her down and take off his gloves. As soon as he takes off his gloves, he immediately goes as high as he can, upwards. Bakugo sees this and he immediately runs over, telling the girl they need to get out of here now. She would just say that she's Uraka. Bakugo would just say, "Okay, Uraka, we need to move." As Bakugo immediately just brings his arm up, pulling a pin on the back of it. And he would immediately just let off a ginormous explosion forward as Deku creates an orbital strike. But he does one thing differently. He smashes the ground with both hands, blowing apart the Zero Pointer's legs, as it falls backwards and immediately just tear apart the rest of the city. Now then, everyone would get done with that, and Deku would score the highest, with him and Bakugo both getting rescue points for that save. Deku would have gotten 80, and Bakugo would have gotten around, well, let's say they split them, so Deku got 50 and Bakugo got 30. Now then, Deku actually did outdo Bakugo with combat points, so he won. Now then, that is where I'm going to be leaving things off, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing night.